Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into the heart of ancient Rome, not to marvel at its magnificent aqueducts or the might of its legions, but to peer into a far more intimate and, frankly, utterly bizarre aspect of daily life, the horrifying superstitions that guided every single step. Imagine living in a world where a sneeze could change your plans, a dream could spark a prophecy, and the flight of birds determined the fate of empires. This isn't just history. It's a stark reminder that even in the birthplace of law and order, life was a constant tightrope walk between duty and the terrifying whims of the unseen. You, dear listener, would have been absolutely paralyzed by fear and probably wouldn't have survived a single week without accidentally offending a minor household god or misinterpreting a crucial omen. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know where in the world you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You open your eyes in a Roman domus, a typical house in the sprawling city of Rome, perhaps around the 1st century CE. The morning light streams through the atrium. Your day, like every day, doesn't begin with a checklist, but with a silent acknowledgement of the unseen forces that govern your world. You quickly splash water on your face, careful not to stumble over the threshold, a bad omen, indicating ill luck for the day. You check your sandals before slipping them on. Putting the left one on first is considered unlucky. This isn't just a quirky habit. It's a deep-seated belief that every mundane action, every sensory input, can be a sign from the gods, or a warning from malevolent spirits. You hear the distinct caw of a crow outside. Is it on your left or your right? The direction matters. Crows on the left might signify misfortune, while those on the right could be a good omen. You subtly adjust your plans, perhaps deciding to postpone a difficult conversation, just in case. You avoid looking directly at people with a visible limp or a squint, as they might possess the evil eye, capable of casting a harmful spell with a mere glance. This isn't just rude, it's a desperate act of self-preservation. Your world is brimming with omens, little whispers from the universe, always demanding interpretation. As you step out onto the busy Roman street, the cacophony of vendors, carts, and chattering citizens fills the air. But you're constantly alert for specific sounds. The sudden hoot of an owl in the daytime. A terrifying omen of death or disaster. A dog howling mournfully for no apparent reason. Another bad sign? Even your own bodily functions can be fraught with meaning. A sudden sneeze. You immediately say, "Salus," health or bene? Good to yourself? Or if someone else sneezes, you offer the blessing, hoping to ward off whatever ill fortune the involuntary expulsion might portend. It's a constant low-level hum of anxiety, a desperate attempt to interpret and influence a world that feels inherently unpredictable. Your entire environment is a tapestry of potential warnings. You avoid stepping over crossroads at night, as they are believed to be gathering places for restless spirits and witches. You never cut your nails or hair on a Friday, nor begin a journey or important task on the Kalen's first day, None's 5th or 7th day, or Ide's 13th or 15th day of the month. Specific days considered unlucky for new ventures. The very calendar, designed to bring order to time, is riddled with forbidden days and ominous dates. This means your plans are constantly shifting, dictated not by practical concerns, but by the invisible calendar of fate. One of the most horrifying superstitions revolves around dreams. You believe dreams are not just random nocturnal thoughts, they are direct messages from the gods, or glimpses into the future. A dream of falling teeth could signify the death of a loved one. A dream of being naked in public could mean public humiliation. You spend your mornings trying to recall and interpret every fragment of your nightly visions, sometimes consulting professional dream interpreters or books of omens. The fear is not just having a bad dream, but failing to understand its warning, and thus inviting disaster. It's like living with a constant, subconscious oracle, delivering cryptic, terrifying prophecies you must decipher. Then there's the evil eye, or fascinum. This isn't just a folktale, it's a palpable threat. You believe certain individuals possess the power to inflict harm, illness, or misfortune with a malevolent glance, often out of envy or malice. Babies and young children are particularly vulnerable, as are those who are beautiful or prosperous. To ward it off, you might wear an amulet, perhaps a phallus charm believed to symbolize fertility and ward off evil, or a small hand gesture, the manofico. You see these phallus charms hanging above doorways, worn as necklaces, or even integrated into wind chimes. A truly bizarre sight to modern eyes, but a crucial protective measure in your world. The fear is so pervasive that you might subtly adjust your posture or avoid drawing attention to yourself if you feel someone is looking at you too intently, just in case they possess the dreaded eye. The concept of curses is also horrifyingly real. You believe that words, especially uttered with malicious intent, can literally inflict harm. If someone wrongs you, you might seek out a curse tablet or defixio. These are small lead tablets, inscribed with a curse directed at an enemy, then typically rolled up and pierced with a nail before being buried in a grave, thrown into a well, or nailed to a temple wall, hoping to reach the underworld deities. The curses are often specific, calling for a thief to suffer boils or a rival charioteer to break his leg. The chilling part is not just the belief in their efficacy, but the tangible evidence you see the discovery of such tablets, a physical manifestation of ancient Roman hatred and fear. Historians still debate the true prevalence of curse tablets in daily life, but their existence clearly shows a terrifying belief in their power. Even the grand public spectacles, like chariot races or gladiatorial games, are riddled with superstition. Charioteers might wear specific amulets or engage in pre-race rituals to ensure victory. You might throw a small effigy into the arena, hoping to curse a rival team. The gladiators facing death daily might wear protective charms or make fervent prayers to specific deities before entering the arena. The stakes are so high that every possible advantage, mundane or magical, is sought. Finally, the superstitions extend to the very ground you walk on. You might step on an exposed part of an ancient burial ground, believing it could anger the restless spirits of the dead. Certain days, certain places, certain actions, all are imbued with hidden meaning and potential peril. It's like living in a constant, low-level horror movie, where the rules of the universe are complex, unpredictable, and often stacked against you. The horrifying superstitions that guided ancient Roman life weren't just quaint beliefs, they were a pervasive, often terrifying framework that dictated choices, fueled fears, and ultimately made every single day a precarious dance with the unseen. You've just been introduced to the constant stream of omens and the terrifying presence of the evil eye that shaped your Roman day. Now, let's delve deeper into how the Romans understood their place in the universe. A universe where powerful gods demanded constant propitiation and precise rituals, turning everyday life into a complex dance of appeasement. You live in a world where the gods aren't distant, abstract concepts. They are an omnipresent, often demanding, part of your daily reality. Every aspect of nature, every human endeavor, every turning point in life is overseen by a specific deity or spirit. Jupiter, the king of the gods, wields thunderbolts. Mars, the god of war, dictates the outcomes of battles. Ceres ensures the harvest. But it's not just the major Olympians. Your world is also populated by countless lesser deities and spirits, the lares and penates, who protect your household and pantry, the genius who oversees your male head of household, and the various spirits of the crossroads, the forests, and the rivers. You must respect them all. This means your religious practice isn't just about grand temple ceremonies, it's woven into the fabric of your home life. Each morning, you might offer a small prayer and a pinch of salt or grain to the lares at their shrine in your home. Before a meal, you might pour a libation, a small offering of wine for the household gods. These aren't empty gestures. You genuinely believe these spirits protect your family, ensure your prosperity, and ward off misfortune. Neglecting them could lead to terrifying consequences: illness, financial ruin, or even death. The fear of offending a minor deity, even unknowingly, is a constant low-level anxiety that underpins your domestic life. Public religion is even more formalized and crucial. The pontiffs, the chief priests, and the augurs, who interpret omens, hold immense power and influence. Before any major undertaking, a military campaign, a new law being passed, even a simple public building project, the will of the gods must be ascertained. This is done through various forms of divination, most notably observing the flight of birds taking the auspices or inspecting the entrails of sacrificed animals. You might see an augur standing solemnly, staring at the sky, interpreting the direction and cries of birds before a general marches his legions. Or you might witness a priest at a public sacrifice, carefully examining the liver of a freshly killed animal, searching for any blemish or unusual mark that could signify divine displeasure. A misplaced organ, a spot on the liver. These seemingly minor details could bring a major undertaking to a grinding halt, simply because the gods have given a bad sign. The state religion isn't about personal piety in the way you might understand it. It's a contractual relationship, do it, des? I give that you may give. You offer sacrifices, prayers, and rituals, and in return, the gods grant you prosperity, victory, and stability. If something goes wrong, a famine, a plague, a military defeat, it's almost certainly because someone, somewhere, has failed to uphold their end of the bargain. Perhaps a ritual was performed incorrectly, or an omen was ignored, or a god was simply forgotten. This belief means that when disaster strikes, the immediate response isn't just to find practical solutions, but to increase religious fervor, to offer more sacrifices, to appease the offended deities. The responsibility for public welfare, therefore, rests not just on human leaders, but on the meticulous adherence to religious protocol. The Vestal Virgins are another horrifyingly significant aspect of this religious landscape. These priestesses, drawn from noble families, are sworn to chastity and dedicated to tending the sacred flame of Vesta, goddess of the hearth and home, in her temple in the Roman Forum. This flame is believed to be directly linked to the security and prosperity of Rome itself. If a Vestal Virgin loses her chastity, the flame might go out, signifying divine wrath and impending disaster for the city. The punishment for a Vestal who breaks her vow? She is buried alive in a subterranean chamber. A chilling fate for a sacred duty. You see them walking through the streets, dressed in white, revered and feared, a constant living symbol of Rome's divine contract. Historians still debate the true motivations behind the Vestal's severe punishments, ranging from genuine religious fear to the use of religious law for political control. Superstition also heavily influences Roman military life. Before any battle, generals would consult omens, inspect entrails, or observe the feeding habits of sacred chickens. If the chickens ate greedily, it was a good omen. If they refused, it was disastrous. Imagine a general surrounded by his hardened legions, refusing to fight a seemingly opportune battle simply because some chickens weren't hungry enough. It sounds absurd to you, but to the Romans, ignoring such a sign would be an act of suicidal impiety, dooming the entire campaign. This reliance on omens rather than pure strategy often dictated the timing and even the very engagement of crucial battles, adding a layer of terrifying unpredictability to warfare. Even your public calendar is full of religious significance and taboos. Certain days are considered fasty days when public business and legal proceedings can take place, and others are nefasti days when they are forbidden. This means that a crucial legal case or a political vote might be postponed or rushed simply because the day is deemed unlucky by the pontiffs. Your life is literally scheduled around the whims of the gods and the interpretations of their priests, adding a bureaucratic, religiously enforced layer of complexity to everything. The fear of portents and prodigies is pervasive. A two-headed calf born in the countryside, a statue weeping blood, a sudden earthquake, a shower of stones from the sky. These are not just natural phenomena. They are terrifying signs of divine anger, warnings that something is fundamentally wrong with Rome's relationship with its gods. When such a prodigy is reported, special rituals, expiations, and sacrifices are performed to appease the offended deities. You live with a constant awareness that the natural world is speaking to you, often in horrifying ways, and that failing to listen could bring ruin. In this world, religious superstition is not a fringe belief. It is the very framework upon which society is built. From the smallest domestic offering to the grandest state sacrifice, from the flight of a bird to the sacred flame of Vesta, your life is a constant negotiation with the divine. The horrifying aspect is not just the rituals themselves, but the crushing fear that accompanies them. The fear of unknowingly offending a god, of misinterpreting an omen, of bringing down divine wrath upon yourself, your family, or your beloved Rome. It's a life lived under the constant, demanding gaze of an unpredictable pantheon. You felt the omnipresent gaze of the Roman gods and understood the meticulous rituals demanded of you. Now, let's explore a darker, more terrifying facet of Roman superstition: the chilling fear of curses and the desperate, often horrifying, ways Romans sought to inflict harm through magical means. In your Roman world, a curse isn't just a rude insult, it's a tangible, terrifying force. You believe that malevolent words, uttered with powerful intent, can literally cause illness, misfortune, or even death. This fear is deeply ingrained, not just in the uneducated masses, but across all levels of society, from the common merchant to the highest senator. If someone wrongs you, whether it's a rival in business, a disloyal lover, or a thief who stole your property, your first thought might not be to appeal to the courts, but to seek a magical solution, to curse them. The most common and perhaps most horrifying manifestation of this belief is the curse tablet, known as a defixio. Imagine a small, thin sheet of lead, often no bigger than your palm. On this tablet, a curse is meticulously inscribed, usually in tiny, cramped letters. The text is often incredibly specific, detailing the exact misfortune you wish upon your enemy. It might demand that a rival charioteer break his leg, or that a lover lose their affection for someone else, or that a thief suffer agonizing fevers. The language is direct, often violent, and always deeply personal. You might hire a specialist, a low-level magician, or a scribe, to craft these precise words, ensuring their magical efficacy. Once inscribed, the tablet is typically rolled or folded, sometimes pierced with a nail, a symbolic act to nail down the curse and make it stick. Then comes the chilling part. The tablet is deposited in a place associated with the underworld or with the dead. You might bury it in a grave, cast it into a well or spring, or even nail it to a temple wall dedicated to underworld deities like Pluto or Proserpina. The intention is clear: to invoke chthonic underworld gods or the spirits of the deceased to carry out your vengeful wishes. The very ground beneath your feet could be riddled with these hidden tablets, silent screams of ancient hatred. Archaeologists have unearthed thousands of these defixiones across the Roman Empire, offering a truly disturbing glimpse into the darker side of Roman daily life and belief. They are a concrete testament to the widespread fear and practice of cursing. The fear of curses extends beyond these physical tablets. You worry about the evil eye, or fascinum, that insidious glance capable of inflicting harm. You learn to recognize the signs: a person with an unusual eye, an intense stare, or someone who praises your possessions or children with perhaps too much enthusiasm, betraying envy. To counter this, you carry various amulets. The most popular, and perhaps most surprising to your modern sensibilities, is the phallus charm, a depiction of an erect penis. These are not merely crude jokes. They are potent symbols of fertility and apotropaic magic, believed to ward off evil and ill luck. You see them everywhere, worn as necklaces by children, hanging as wind chimes from doorways, or depicted on frescoes. It's a bizarre sight for your modern eyes, but for Romans, it's a powerful, tangible defense against unseen malevolence. Other protective amulets might include a small bell tintinnabulum to scare away evil spirits with its jingle, or knots tied into clothing or hair, believed to trap bad luck. You might wear a bulla, a locket worn by freeborn Roman boys until their coming of age, containing protective charms. Even seemingly innocuous items, like a string of garlic, might be carried for their protective properties against the evil eye or disease. Your clothing, your home, your very person, all are adorned with layers of magical protection, a testament to the pervasive fear of curses and bad fortune. The power of curses is believed to be especially potent at crossroads. These liminal spaces where paths meet are considered places where spirits congregate and where magical rituals can be particularly effective. You would avoid lingering at crossroads after dark, and you might see discarded offerings or remnants of rituals, bits of food, knotted cloths, indicating someone has been performing a desperate curse or seeking protection there. The very geometry of your city can become a source of fear and superstition. The fear of curses also extends to the spoken word. You are careful about what you say, especially when expressing strong emotions like anger or envy, and ill-wishing spoken aloud, even in a moment of frustration, is believed to have the potential to bring about real harm. This reinforces a certain social caution, as casual insults or public displays of animosity could inadvertently invite a curse. It adds a layer of tension to your interactions, making you weigh your words carefully, especially in disputes. Sometimes, the fear of curses borders on the horrifying practice of sympathetic magic. This is the belief that you can influence someone by performing actions on an object associated with them. Imagine a lock of hair, a piece of clothing, or even a wax effigy of an enemy. A malicious person might stick pins into the effigy, believing that whatever pain is inflicted on the doll will be felt by the actual victim. While direct evidence of such explicit practices is rarer than curse tablets, the underlying belief in sympathetic magic is a terrifying possibility that lurks in the background of your superstitious world. Historians continue to find new evidence of magical practices in the Roman world, pushing the boundaries of what was previously understood about their daily beliefs. The psychological impact of living in a world where curses are real is immense. You are constantly on guard, wary of jealous neighbors, disgruntled servants, or vengeful rivals. Every misfortune, every illness, every financial setback could be interpreted not as bad luck, but as the direct result of a curse. This breeds suspicion and paranoia, undermining trust and fostering a pervasive sense of vulnerability. It's a terrifying, unspoken battle fought in the shadows, where your enemies might not wield swords but whispers and inscribed blade. Your Roman life, for all its legal sophistication and military might, is governed by a deep, primal fear of unseen forces and the malicious intent of others. The horrifying superstitions surrounding curses are not merely quaint historical footnotes. They are a pervasive, chilling reality that dictates your actions, shapes your fears, and turns seemingly mundane objects into potent symbols of protection or instruments of dark revenge. It's a truly disturbing facet of your ancient existence. You've delved into the chilling world of Roman curses and protective amulets. Now, let's turn our gaze upwards, or downwards, or to anything that moves. Because in your Roman life, the very fabric of nature itself is constantly speaking to you, offering omens and portents that demand careful, often terrifying interpretation. The Roman world is obsessed with divination, the practice of seeking knowledge of the future through supernatural means. While grand sacrifices and consulting official augurs are state affairs, on a personal level, you are constantly on the lookout for signs from the gods in the most mundane occurrences. This means every unexpected event, every unusual sight or sound is scrutinized for its hidden meaning. Perhaps the most well-known form of personal divination, and one that deeply affects your daily decision-making, involves birds. The flight of birds, their calls, their feeding habits, all are believed to carry messages from the gods. You might be planning to leave your house for an important meeting, only to see a raven fly from your left to your right. This is an ominous sign, suggesting ill fortune. Do you proceed anyway? The risk of offending the gods and inviting disaster feels too great, so you might delay your departure, hoping for a more favorable omen. Conversely, a bird flying from right to left could be a good sign, encouraging you to go forth. The specific species of bird also matters. An eagle is generally good. An owl at midday is dreadful. Your entire day's itinerary can be dictated by the seemingly random movements of feathered creatures. Beyond birds, the entrails of sacrificed animals are a crucial source of prophecy, particularly for public affairs and important private ventures. While this is primarily the domain of official haruspices, soothsayers from Etruscan origins, the belief in its efficacy permeates society. Imagine standing in a bustling marketplace, witnessing a small sacrifice being performed before a new building project begins. A haruspice carefully opens a freshly slaughtered animal, often a lamb or a pig, and meticulously examines its liver, lungs, and other organs. Every spot, every unusual shape, every deviation from the norm is a sign. A blackened liver, a bad omen, requiring immediate expiation or postponement of the project. A perfectly formed, healthy liver, a good sign, ensuring divine favor. This practice, gruesome to your modern sensibilities, is a cornerstone of Roman religious certainty, a direct line to the will of the gods. Historians still debate the extent to which private citizens regularly engaged with haruspices versus observing public sacrifices. but the underlying belief in organ divination was widespread. Thunder and lightning are terrifyingly powerful omens, direct manifestations of Jupiter's will. A clap of thunder to your left as you start a journey. A bad sign. Lightning striking a particular building. A divine warning. You might interrupt a meeting, or even a military march, if an ill-omened clap of thunder sounds. The sky itself is a constantly shifting canvas of divine messages, and you live with a perpetual awareness of its volatile pronouncements. The fear is not just of the storm itself, but of the dreadful message it might carry. Even the most subtle bodily sensations can be interpreted as omens. An involuntary twitch of an eyelid, a ringing in your ears, a sudden cramp in your leg. These are not just random physiological events. They could be signs from your personal genius or other protective spirits, or warnings of impending good or bad fortune. You learn a vast lexicon of these bodily omens, silently interpreting your own aches and twitches throughout the day, constantly trying to predict what the universe has in store for you. It's a constant internal monologue of self-divination. The Roman fascination with omens extends to the unexpected behavior of animals. A cat crossing your path from right to left, a dog howling inexplicably at night, a mouse gnawing on something in your home. All can carry meaning. If a snake, revered in some contexts but feared in others, appears unexpectedly in your home, it can be a portent of great significance, demanding careful interpretation and often ritualistic appeasement. You learn to pay attention to the world around you, not just for practical purposes, but for the constant stream of hidden messages it sends. The concept of prodigies is perhaps the most horrifying category of omens. These are extraordinary, unnatural phenomena that are believed to signify immense divine anger and impending catastrophe for the state. A statue weeping tears of blood, a rain of stones from the sky, an animal born with two heads or other deformities. These are not mere curiosities. They are terrifying warnings that the gods are profoundly displeased, and that grave disaster, perhaps even the fall of Rome itself, is imminent. When news of a prodigy spreads, it causes widespread panic. The Senate will often consult the Sibylline books, ancient, prophetic texts kept secret and order elaborate public rituals, expiations, and sacrifices to appease the offended deities and avert the impending doom. You live with the knowledge that the very fabric of reality can sometimes tear, revealing the terrifying anger of the divine. This constant search for omens creates a culture of perpetual anxiety and hyper-awareness. You cannot simply go about your day without an underlying current of vigilance, perpetually scanning your environment for signs. Every decision, from the mundane to the monumental, can be influenced, delayed, or even abandoned based on the interpretation of an omen. It's a life lived under the constant, overwhelming possibility that the universe is speaking to you, often in terrifying whispers, and that failing to listen could bring about untold misfortune. The horrifying superstitions about omens and nature's signs are not just quirky historical facts. They are a pervasive, guiding force that made every moment of ancient Roman life a precarious dance with fate. You've learned to dread the omens in the sky and the entrails of animals. Now, let's explore a more personal, yet equally terrifying, aspect of Roman superstition: the constant use of bizarre amulets and charms. Objects you carry on your person or display in your home, all designed to ward off unseen evils and protect you from malevolent forces. Imagine getting ready for your day. Before you even consider your tunic or toga, you might reach for a small leather pouch or a delicate chain around your neck. Inside, or dangling from it, is your chosen amulet. These aren't just pieces of jewelry, they are potent magical objects, believed to actively repel evil, protect against misfortune, and even confer good luck. Every Roman, from the lowliest slave to the wealthiest senator, likely wears or possesses at least one, a testament to the pervasive fear of malevolent forces that permeate daily life. The most famous and perhaps most startling to your modern eyes is the phallus charm, or fascinum. You see these everywhere. Small bronze phalluses hang as wind chimes tintinnabula outside shops and homes. Their jingling believed to scare away evil spirits. Children, particularly boys, wear small phallic pendants around their necks. Larger phalluses might be carved into door lintels or garden statues. This isn't about obscenity. It's about apotropaic magic, literally turning away evil. The phallus, a symbol of fertility and vitality, was believed to be an incredibly potent ward against the evil eye and other curses, distracting malevolent spirits or simply overpowering them with its life-giving force. It's a bizarre sight, but to a Roman, it's as commonplace and sensible as locking your door. Archaeologists frequently unearth these phallus charms, proving their widespread use and deep cultural significance beyond simple decoration. Beyond the phallus, a multitude of other charms and practices exist. You might carry a small bull amulet for protection, particularly against the evil eye, as the bull was a symbol of strength and virility. The hand gesture, known as the mano fico, the fig hand, where the thumb is placed between the index and middle fingers, is another powerful defense against the evil eye. You see people subtly making this gesture when they feel they are being looked at with envy, or when passing someone they deem unlucky. It's a silent, quick ward against unseen harm. Children, especially infants, are surrounded by protective charms. A freeborn Roman boy, as you may recall, wears a bulla around his neck until he comes of age. This locket contains various small amulets, perhaps a miniature phallus, a bead, or a small piece of fabric, all intended to protect him from evil and misfortune until he is old enough to be considered a full citizen. For girls, a lunula, a crescent moon-shaped pendant, often serves a similar protective purpose. The terrifying vulnerability of children in your world, due to high infant mortality rates and susceptibility to disease, makes these protective charms even more crucial to anxious parents. Even specific materials are believed to have protective qualities. Coral, for example, is thought to ward off illness and ward off the evil eye, especially for children. You might see children wearing small coral necklaces or bracelets. Amber is another popular choice, believed to have healing properties. The belief in the inherent magical power of certain natural materials means your environment is subtly categorized by what is safe and what is dangerous, what protects and what harms. Beyond your person, your home itself is a fortress against evil. You might paint a red stripe around the lower walls of your house, as red pigment is believed to ward off evil spirits. Small terracotta figurines, perhaps of a protective deity or a stylized phallus, might be placed in niches around your home. Even the threshold of your doorway is a sacred boundary, and stepping over it with the wrong foot, or allowing a stranger with ill intent to cross it first, can invite bad luck. You might silently ask your lair's household gods for protection as you enter and exit, acknowledging their constant guardianship. The Romans also practiced binding spells for protection. This isn't about cursing someone, but about binding malevolent spirits or bad luck. You might tie specific knots in threads or ropes, or weave protective patterns into cloth, believing that these knots physically constrain negative forces, preventing them from harming you or your family. This is a subtle, almost invisible form of magical defense woven into the fabric of daily life. The horrifying aspect of these ubiquitous charms and practices is that they reveal a deep, pervasive fear of the unknown and the uncontrollable. Despite Rome's military might, its sophisticated legal system, and its impressive engineering, Romans lived in a constant state of anxiety about unseen, malevolent forces. Every sneeze, every bad dream, every envious glance, every unexpected misfortune could be interpreted as the work of spirits, curses, or the evil eye. Your reliance on these strange little objects is a testament to your perceived vulnerability in a world teeming with invisible dangers. It's a bizarre contrast to culture capable of building monumental aqueducts and intricate roads, yet profoundly convinced that a small bronze penis charm or a specific hand gesture can protect them from a malevolent gaze. The horrifying superstitions about amulets and charms weren't just decorative quirks. They were essential tools in a Roman's daily struggle to navigate a world they believed was saturated with powerful, unpredictable, and often terrifying magical threats. You're constantly on guard, constantly seeking protection, always aware that one wrong move, one forgotten charm, could invite disaster. You've armed yourself with amulets and guarded against curses. Now, let's tiptoe into the truly unsettling shadows of Roman belief, the dark side of magic, where desperation drives individuals to explore forbidden practices like necromancy and the desperate, dangerous pursuit of forbidden knowledge. This isn't the magic of protecting yourself. This is the magic of manipulating fate and harming others. While official Roman religion was about public rituals and appeasing the gods for the good of the state, a pervasive undercurrent of private, often illicit, magic existed. This wasn't something openly discussed in the forum. It was whispered in back alleys, practiced in secret chambers, and sought out by those with dark desires or profound desperation. You might hear rumors of witches, sagae, and sorcerers who could bend the natural world to their will. But these stories come with a chilling sense of dread, for dabbling in such arts was considered dangerous, both spiritually and legally. One of the most horrifying practices you might hear about, or even stumble upon evidence of, is necromancy, the forbidden art of communicating with the dead. This isn't simply remembering a loved one. This is the attempt to literally raise or summon the spirits of the deceased to gain hidden knowledge, to learn secrets of the future, or to inflict curses. Imagine the chilling scene: a sorcerer performing rituals in a dark, isolated place, perhaps at a crossroads at midnight, or in a deserted burial ground. They might use incantations, sacrificial offerings, or even gruesome elements from a corpse to compel a spirit to speak. The very thought of disturbing the dead for selfish gain is deeply unsettling to most Romans, as it offends the gods and risks unleashing malevolent forces. Archaeological finds of lead tablets and ritualistic burials sometimes hint at such dark practices, though direct evidence of necromancy is rare and debated by historians. Beyond necromancy, other forms of black magic aim for direct harm. Remember the curse tablets Depicciones? While many were for legal or romantic rivalry, some were undeniably intended to cause illness, injury, or even death to an enemy. The use of voodoo dolls or wax effigies is also reported in ancient texts. Imagine a small figure, crudely shaped from wax or clay, representing your enemy. Pins might be stuck into it, or it might be melted over a fire, with the intention of inflicting sympathetic pain or causing a slow, agonizing demise for the real person. This isn't just symbolic. You believe the pain inflicted on the effigy is literally transferred to your target. The chilling thought that a jealous rival could be performing such a ritual against you would breed intense paranoia. The tools of dark magic are often mundane objects imbued with terrifying power through ritual: animal bones, hair, fingernail clippings, grave dirt, or even parts of executed criminals. These are all believed to hold potent magical properties when used in conjunction with specific incantations. You might see a strange bundle of herbs tied with specific knots, or a discarded shard of pottery with cryptic symbols scratched into it, and your imagination would immediately leap to dark rituals. These aren't just props, they are conduits for malevolent forces, used to twist fate and defy divine will. The pursuit of forbidden knowledge itself is seen as a dangerous form of dark magic. Astrology, while widely practiced, sometimes veered into forbidden territory if it involved predicting the death of an emperor or attempting to uncover secrets best left to the gods. Prophecy, if not sanctioned by official augurs or Sibylline books, could be deemed subversive and dangerous. Any attempt to gain knowledge outside the accepted divine channels was often viewed with suspicion and fear, as it implied an attempt to usurp the power of the gods or gain an unfair advantage over fellow mortals. The practice of poisoning, while often a mundane crime, could also be seen as a form of dark magic, especially if combined with rituals or specific herbs believed to enhance its efficacy. The fear of being subtly poisoned, perhaps by a jealous spouse or a political rival, was a real and terrifying anxiety. And sometimes, those fears led to accusations of magical foul play rather than simple criminality. The lack of forensic science meant that mysterious deaths were often attributed to curses or poisoning, blurring the lines between crime and magic. The state itself is deeply wary of dark magic. Laws are put in place to punish sorcerers, diviners, and anyone practicing forbidden arts. These individuals are often feared, ostracized, and, if caught, can face severe penalties, including execution. This fear stems from the belief that such magic can undermine the social order, threaten the emperor, or simply bring divine wrath upon the entire city. While some Roman emperors might dabble in astrology or consult private diviners, the public condemnation of evil magic is strong and unwavering. Historians still debate the extent to which these laws were truly effective, or if they merely drove such practices further underground. The psychological impact of knowing such dark magic exists is profound. It breeds paranoia and suspicion. Every misfortune, every illness, every unexpected death could potentially be the result of a hidden curse. You look at your rivals, your jealous neighbors, your disloyal servants, and wonder if they are dabbling in these forbidden arts. It creates a constant undercurrent of fear, a sense that even your closest relationships could be threatened by unseen magical attacks. Your world is not just governed by the gods and by law. It is also shadowed by the terrifying possibility of human malice empowered by forbidden knowledge. The horrifying superstitions surrounding dark magic are not just abstract beliefs. They are a pervasive, chilling reality that makes you wary of shadows, suspicious of strangers, and constantly aware that the universe holds forces that can be twisted for malevolent purposes. It's a truly disturbing facet of your ancient existence, a grim reminder that human fear and desperation can lead to the exploration of the darkest paths. You've just been granted a chilling glimpse into the forbidden world of Roman dark magic. Now, as you return to the relative safety of your Roman domus, you realize that even your home, your sanctuary, is not free from the pervasive influence of superstition. You navigate a world where restless ghosts and household spirits demand respect or bring chilling misfortune. In ancient Rome, the dead don't simply vanish. They transition to the afterlife, yes, but their spirits, particularly those who died violently or without proper burial, can linger. These are the lemures or larvae, restless, malevolent ghosts who are believed to haunt homes, causing illness, madness, and general misfortune. Imagine waking in the middle of the night, hearing an unidentifiable creak or a faint whisper. Your mind immediately jumps to a lemur, a terrifying disembodied presence that seeks to inflict harm. The fear is palpable, turning your own home into a potential site of haunting, to appease these restless spirits and prevent them from causing trouble. The Romans observed the festival of the Lemuria in May. During this 3-day festival, heads of households perform specific rituals, primarily at night, to exorcise the malevolent spirits from their homes. You might watch your own paterfamilias, head of the family, rise at midnight, barefoot, making a specific gesture with his thumb between his fingers. The mano fico again? Remember. And spitting black beans 9 times over his shoulder, all while reciting incantations like, "These I cast away. With these beans I redeem me and mine." The belief is that the beans act as a bribe or distraction for the spirits, and spitting purifies the act. It's a truly bizarre, yet deeply serious, nightly ritual, all aimed at keeping your home safe from terrifying spectral visitors. Historians still debate the exact origins and variations of these rites, but their widespread practice is well documented. Beyond the malevolent ghosts, you also live with the constant presence of more benevolent, yet still demanding, household deities and ancestral spirits. The lares are the guardians of your home and family. The penates protect your pantry and food supply. The genius is the guardian spirit of the male head of the household, while the Juno is the equivalent for the female. These spirits are benevolent only if you show them proper respect and offer regular worship. Neglecting their small shrines, forgetting their daily offerings, a pinch of salt, a few grains, a drop of wine, could lead to subtle misfortunes, a spoiled meal, a broken tool, a minor illness. The fear isn't of direct attack, but of passive malevolence, of blessings being withdrawn. Your house often contains a lararium, a small shrine or niche, usually in the atrium or near the hearth, where images of the lares, penates, and other family deities are kept. Every morning, you might see a small offering being made here, a quiet, daily ritual that reinforces the constant presence of these household guardians. It's a comforting belief that your home is protected, but also a source of low-level anxiety, as you must constantly ensure the spirits are properly honored. The ancestral spirits, or manes, are also a significant part of this domestic spiritual landscape. You believe that the spirits of your deceased ancestors watch over your family, offering protection and guidance, if they are properly honored through funeral rites and annual commemorations. Neglecting their memory could lead to their restlessness, causing minor misfortunes or disquiet in the household. Festivals like the Parentalia in February are dedicated to honoring these ancestral spirits, a time for families to visit graves, share meals, and make offerings, ensuring their continued benevolence. Even specific parts of the house are imbued with superstitious meaning. The threshold of your front door is not just a physical boundary, it's a liminal space, a protective barrier against evil entering your home. Stepping over it with the left foot first is unlucky. Many homes have charms, like the phallus wind chime, tintinnabulum, or inscriptions, hanging above or near the door to ward off malevolent forces from crossing the threshold. The hearth, the heart of the home, is sacred to Vesta and the household gods. The fear of unlucky objects entering your home is also very real. You would be extremely cautious about bringing in anything that is deemed cursed or unlucky, such as an object found on a crossroads at night, or something that belonged to a known criminal or someone who died a bad death. Such objects could carry negative energy, or even malevolent spirits, into your personal space. The terrifying aspect of these beliefs is the constant vigilance they demand. You can never truly relax, knowing that your home, your family's sanctuary, is also a nexus of unseen forces. The fear of an unappeased lemur, a neglected lares, or an offended ancestral spirit creates a pervasive, low-level anxiety about your domestic harmony. Every creak in the night, every unexplained sound, can send a shiver down your spine, prompting a silent prayer or a desperate search for a forgotten offering. Living in ancient Rome means constantly negotiating with the spiritual realm, not just in public temples, but within the intimate confines of your own home. The horrifying superstitions about restless ghosts and demanding household spirits aren't just quaint beliefs. They are a pervasive, guiding force that dictates your daily rituals, shapes your domestic anxieties, and ensures that even within your own four walls, you are never truly alone, nor entirely safe from the terrifying whims of the unseen. You've made your home a fortress against restless spirits. Now, let's explore how ancient Romans, from emperors to commoners, desperately sought to peek behind the veil of time, relying on dreams, oracles, and prophecies to guide their most crucial decisions and soothe their deepest anxieties. In your Roman world, the future isn't a blank slate. It's a tapestry woven by the gods. And sometimes, a corner of that tapestry is revealed through cryptic messages. Dreams are perhaps the most personal and common form of prophecy you encounter. You believe that dreams are not just random nocturnal wanderings of the mind, but direct communications from deities, or sometimes even the spirits of the dead. A vivid dream, particularly one that feels intense or features a deity, is taken very seriously. You might spend your morning recounting it to your family, desperately trying to decipher its meaning. A dream of a snake could signify healing or danger, depending on the context. A dream of losing teeth might foreshadow the death of a family member. For important dreams, or those that seem particularly obscure, you might consult a professional dream interpreter somniator. These individuals possess books of interpretations, passed down through generations, offering guidance on the myriad symbols and narratives that appear in dreams. The fear isn't just having a bad dream, but failing to correctly interpret its warning, thereby missing an opportunity to avert disaster or seize good fortune. It's like living with a constant, subconscious oracle, delivering prophecies you must decipher. Historians still debate the extent to which these dream interpretations were truly believed by the educated elite versus being more for the common populace, but their widespread use is undeniable. Beyond personal dreams, the Roman state often relied on more formal and mysterious sources of prophecy. The most revered were the Sibylline books. These ancient cryptic prophecies, allegedly purchased by the legendary King Tarquin the Proud from a Sibyl, a prophetess, were housed in the Temple of Jupiter, Optimus Maximus, and guarded by a college of priests. They were consulted only in times of extreme crisis, plagues, military defeats, or strange prodigies. When the Roman state faced existential threats, you wouldn't simply walk in and ask a question. The Senate would authorize the consultation, and the priest would interpret the verses, which were often deliberately obscure, guiding the state on the proper rituals or actions needed to appease the gods and avert disaster. The terrifying aspect is that these prophecies were often dire, demanding immense sacrifices or radical changes to avert calamity. Their very existence underscored the precariousness of Rome's fate. Oracles from famous shrines in Greece, particularly the Oracle of Apollo at Delphi, also held significant sway, though their influence waned somewhat in the later Roman Empire compared to the Republic. However, you might still hear stories of generals or emperors consulting these ancient sites, seeking cryptic guidance on military campaigns or political decisions. The pronouncements were often ambiguous, requiring careful interpretation, but their divine origin lent them immense authority. It was a terrifying gamble, betting the fate of an army or a city on a riddle. Astrology, a practice deeply ingrained in Mesopotamian and Egyptian cultures, gained significant popularity in Rome, especially during the imperial period. You believe that the positions of the stars and planets at the moment of your birth, or at the start of a venture, fundamentally influence your destiny. Your horoscope, though not called that by you, is believed to predetermine everything from your personality to your ultimate fate, including how long you will live, who you will marry, and whether you will achieve greatness or suffer misfortune. You might consult an astrologer or mathematicus to determine the most auspicious time to begin a journey, sign a contract, or even propose marriage. The horrifying aspect of astrology is its deterministic nature. If your birth chart predicts a short life or a tragic end, how do you live with that knowledge? While some Roman philosophers might dismiss astrology as superstition, for the vast majority of the population, it provided a framework, albeit a terrifying one, for understanding their place in a universe governed by cosmic forces. The emperors themselves often consulted astrologers, and sometimes those same astrologers were executed if their prophecies were deemed too dangerous or if they predicted the emperor's demise. It's a constant dance between the desire to know the future and the fear of what that knowledge might reveal. Public prophets and soothsayers, though often viewed with suspicion by official Roman authorities, also operated in the shadows, particularly among the common people. These individuals might claim to interpret dreams, read palms, or communicate with spirits to offer glimpses into the future. While some were undoubtedly charlatans, others might have genuinely believed in their abilities, or provided a comforting sense of control to people desperate for answers in an unpredictable world. You might seek them out in times of personal crisis, hoping for a word of guidance, however vague. The constant need for these forms of divination, whether official or personal, highlights a fundamental anxiety in Roman life, the deep uncertainty about the future. Despite their engineering marvels and military conquests, Romans felt intensely vulnerable to the whims of fate, the anger of the gods, and the unpredictable nature of events. The horrifying superstitions surrounding dreams, oracles, and prophecies provided a means, however illusory, to impose some order, to gain some foresight, and perhaps to feel a tiny bit more in control of a terrifyingly unpredictable existence. It's a testament to human desperation, seeking answers in the whispers of the universe. You've plunged into the terrifying depths of Roman divination, from personal dreams to state-sanctioned prophecies. Now, let's consider a specific cosmic superstition that held an iron grip on Roman minds' astrology's pervasive influence on fate, guiding everything from your daily decisions to the grand strategies of emperors and military campaigns. In your Roman world, the night sky is not just a canopy of twinkling lights, it's a giant, celestial clock, meticulously charting the destinies of mortals and empires alike. Astrology, originating from Babylonian traditions and refined by Greek scholars, becomes deeply embedded in Roman culture, particularly during the imperial period. You genuinely believe that the precise alignment of planets and constellations at the moment of your birth, or at the inception of any significant event, imprints a unique destiny upon it. This is your horoscope, a cosmic blueprint believed to predetermine your personality, your successes, your failures, and even the precise moment of your death. Imagine you are planning something crucial, perhaps starting a new business venture, marrying your beloved, or even simply embarking on a long journey. You wouldn't just pick a random day. You would consult an astrologer mathematicus, a figure who, despite occasional official condemnation, holds immense sway over public and private life. This astrologer would meticulously calculate the positions of the planets and stars for various potential dates, advising you on the most auspicious time. A favorable planetary alignment could ensure prosperity for your business, harmony in your marriage, or a safe return from your travels. Conversely, an unlucky alignment could doom your endeavor from the start. The terrifying part is that you truly believe these celestial bodies dictate your fate, leaving little room for free will. The influence of astrology extends far beyond personal life. It infiltrates the highest echelons of Roman power. Emperors themselves, despite their absolute authority, are often deeply superstitious about astrology. They might employ personal astrologers, consulting them on matters of state, when to launch a military campaign, when to hold an important Senate meeting, or even when to make a public appearance. Imagine the absurdity and the horrifying power of this, the fate of legions, the stability of the empire, potentially resting on the interpretation of a planetary conjunction by a court astrologer. The most terrifying prophecies, of course, were those that predicted an emperor's death or the fall of the empire, often leading to paranoia and swift, brutal retribution against the astrologer. The deterministic nature of astrology creates a unique psychological burden. If your birth chart predicts a short life or a specific misfortune, how do you live with that knowledge? Some might fall into fatalism, believing their efforts are futile against the tide of destiny. Others might try to outwit their stars, performing counter rituals or avoiding specific actions believed to trigger an ill-omened prediction. This constant internal struggle between preordained fate and individual agency is a hallmark of Roman life under the sway of astrology. It creates a pervasive, low-level anxiety, a feeling that your life is merely playing out a script written in the stars. The Roman authorities, while often superstitious themselves, had a complicated relationship with astrologers. On one hand, emperors relied on them. On the other, predicting an emperor's death was treasonous, and any prophecy that hinted at political upheaval could be severely punished. This led to frequent expulsions of astrologers from Rome, periods of official bans, and yet they always returned, because the demand for their services was simply too great. It's a constant cat-and-mouse game between the state's desire for control and the populace's desperate need for foresight. Historians still debate the true level of imperial belief in astrology versus its use as a tool for political manipulation or public control. Even your understanding of the passage of time is subtly influenced by astrology. Certain days, hours, or even minutes are deemed more favorable than others based on the celestial configurations. You might find yourself waiting for a specific planetary hour to begin a task, believing that starting it at the wrong time could invite misfortune. This adds a layer of mystical planning to your already complex daily schedule, making spontaneity a dangerous luxury. The terrifying aspect of astrology isn't just its deterministic nature, but its impersonal power. It's not a god you can directly appease with a sacrifice, but an unyielding cosmic force that simply is your life, your loves, your triumphs, and your tragedies are all plotted in the heavens from the moment of your birth. This belief can strip away a sense of individual agency, making you feel like a mere puppet of the cosmos. Despite the rise of rational thought in philosophical schools, astrology's grip on the Roman mind remains incredibly strong. It offers a comprehensive, albeit chilling, framework for understanding the universe and your place within it. The horrifying superstitions about astrology are not just a historical footnote. They are a pervasive, guiding force that dictates choices, fuels fears, and ensures that every Roman, from the most powerful to the most humble, lives under the silent, terrifying gaze of the stars, their destinies seemingly etched in the cosmic firmament from birth. It's a truly disturbing facet of your ancient existence, a constant reminder of how much control you truly don't have. You've delved into the pervasive influence of astrology, seeing how the stars were believed to map out your fate in ancient Rome. Now, as our journey through the horrifying superstitions of this empire concludes, you're left to reflect on how these ancient fears, despite millennia of progress, still subtly echo and persist in your seemingly rational modern world. Consider first the deep human need for control and understanding. The Romans, facing unpredictable plagues, natural disasters, and the harsh realities of warfare, had no scientific explanations for much of what they experienced. Superstition, with its omens, oracles, and astrological charts, provided a framework, however illusory, for understanding and perhaps even influencing an otherwise chaotic existence. When you, in your modern world, encounter moments of extreme uncertainty, a global pandemic, an economic crisis, a personal tragedy, do you not sometimes grasp for patterns, for signs, for anything that might offer a sense of order or prediction? Perhaps it's a gut feeling, a lucky charm, or a daily horoscope app. These are distant, sanitized echoes of the Roman, need to find meaning in the unpredictable. The ancient fear of the evil eye or fascinum might seem quaint, yet its essence persists. In your modern world, you don't wear phallus charms. But do you ever knock on wood, throw salt over your shoulder? Avoid jinxing good fortune by not speaking too soon. These are direct, cultural descendants of apotropaic magic. Subtle gestures meant to ward off bad luck or the envy of others. The belief that negative thoughts or envy can cause harm, even if not through a literal evil eye, remains a common undercurrent in many societies. It's a softer, more generalized fear. But the root remains the desire to protect yourself from unseen, malevolent forces. Think about the enduring appeal of prophecy and divination. While you might scoff at haruspices examining entrails, your news channels are filled with economic forecasts, political predictions, and weather models. Financial advisors try to predict stock market movements, sports commentators predict game outcomes, and meteorologists predict hurricanes. While these are based on data and algorithms, the underlying human desire to know the future, to gain an advantage, and to reduce uncertainty is precisely what drove Romans to consult astrologers and interpret dreams. The tools have changed, but the fundamental human craving for foresight remains the same. The persistence of lucky charms and rituals is another direct echo. You might carry a lucky penny, wear a lucky piece of clothing, or perform a specific ritual before a big event, always putting on your right sock first, never stepping on cracks. These are not rational actions, but they offer a psychological comfort, a sense of control, a small personal ritual to influence an uncertain outcome. This is the very essence of ancient Roman superstition, a small, tangible act to gain favor or ward off misfortune, a direct link to the Magnifico or the bulla you would have worn. The Roman distinction between official and state-sanctioned religion in the darker, more illicit forms of magic also resonates. In your modern world, science and formal institutions are generally trusted. But there's a continuous fascination with the fringe, the occult, and the paranormal. Ghost stories, conspiracy theories, and alternative spiritual practices, though often dismissed by the mainstream, still captivate millions. This human pull towards the mysterious, the hidden, and the potentially transgressive mirrors the Roman fascination with necromancy or forbidden astrology. A persistent exploration of powers beyond the conventional. Finally, the greatest lesson from these horrifying superstitions is how profoundly culture shapes perception. The Romans were brilliant engineers, shrewd politicians, and formidable warriors. Yet their daily lives were utterly saturated with beliefs that seem utterly illogical to your modern mind. This reminds you that your own understanding of reality, your own common sense, is also shaped by your cultural context. It fosters a humbling awareness that what seems rational or scientific today might, in another era, be viewed as strange or even superstitious. Historians continue to unravel the complex interplay between Roman rationality and their deep-seated superstitions. Acknowledging that both were integral parts of their worldview, the horrifying superstitions that guided ancient Roman life were not just historical oddities. They were a pervasive, complex system for understanding and navigating a world full of terrifying unknowns. And though their specific forms have changed, the fundamental human fears and desires that fueled them continue to whisper in the quiet corners of your own modern mind. A timeless echo from a deeply superstitious past.